We're going to start it off with Joe's question. He says, I have enough cash on hand to pay for my new car in full, but the dealership is offering me a much better price if I finance. Is there a catch here? Or are there any other things to consider before I dive in and make this decision?
Yeah, it's really interesting, Brian. You know, one of the things, conventional wisdom used to always be, hey, if I show up to a dealership or if I show up to purchase a car, if I have just like an envelope full of cash, I can do my best wheeling and dealing. If I come in and pay cash, I know that I can kind of like talk them down and negotiate. But the world's changed a little bit. And I'm going off memory here. I think you had an experience that was almost the exact same as Joe's, where like it was a very similar, hey, if you do this, then we'll do this.
Yeah, I mean, the world changes fast. I mean, this is why when people say, why don't y'all just do one-time plannings and other things, I'm like, because have you looked around? I mean, with innovation, technology, and the world, it's moving so fast. You need somebody at all times. And the auto industry is a big example of this. I want you to think about this. 10 years ago, it wasn't uncommon, and we've done shows on this, so I'm going to talk in generalities on it, that dealerships made around $800 a car on selling you the car, and then right around $500 on the financing the car. So you could see that the carrot was obviously in quantity of cars just sold, because that was the driver of where the profit was. Fast forward to where we are now, financing compared to selling the car. I mean, dealerships will make approximately $400 selling you the car, but they'll make a little under $1,000 on the financing.
So it's completely flipped.
So if you have the context of understanding that most of your dealerships have turned from a product sales place to actually a financial or financing arm of the product they're selling, you can quickly see that there's probably an incentive here where if that's where the profit is, and it's coming from the manufacturer, it's coming from the banks, how do I turn this into a positive for me in the car buying process? And this is where you're exactly right, Bo. I have an experience share. When we were buying my wife's last car, I had cash on hand. But I did not pay cash for that car because after we had already negotiated what was going to be the purchase price, after we had already negotiated the trade-in, we were now down to the third component, was how you go pay for this.
And I want to pause you right there. That's the order you should do it, right?
Yep.
When you go in to do the negotiation, negotiate purchase price first, then negotiate trade, and don't tell them how you're going to pay till the very end, right?
Yes, because here's the thing. You're thinking, because in the past, cash was king. You're like, ooh, I got cash. They're going to love me. No. They're going to love you if you will finance the car. Now, a lot of you are like, wait a minute, you're buying, especially if you're buying a nicer car, why in the world? Because that's the whole thing. A part of the 23.8 is we tell you if you're doing luxury, you got to pay 12 months same as cash. Pay attention, that's 12 months same as cash, because there's, like I said, we eat our home cooking, meaning that we actually practice what we preach. So when I was buying my wife's car, we got to that final stage, and I was like, look, I got cash. But I also know you guys make a lot of money off of financing these cars. Is there some way you and I can come to an arrangement to where I'll let you finance this car with the understanding that I'm going to pay it off quickly? So you tell me, how long do you have to have the note open to get it, and how big of a deal will you give me? And the sales manager was like, you're spot on. He goes, look, right now, if you will let me finance this car, I can take another, I think it was like $1,000 to $1,500. It was a decent chunk of money. And I was like, okay, what's the catch though? And he's like, you got to keep the loan open for 4 months.
Just 4 months.
4 months. So you know what?
I
kept the loan open for 4 months and then paid it off after that 4 month period. Made the minimum payment, of course, during that 4 month period, like you have to keep the loan in good standing. But then immediately after the 4th month, I went ahead and paid it off in full, and I got a better deal. And that is so contrarian, because we see how much is out there in the world, and it's like, pay cash. And I'm all about paying cash. And effectively, I think I did pay cash. It's just I used the debt, the tool, and the way dealers make their money to my financial advantage. Because guess what? I'm a financial mutant. There's a reason every dollar that comes into my household is going to go somewhere between 3 to 10% more than my peers, is because I maximize the opportunities. And that's what we're offering you who pay attention, who subscribe, and become part of the Money Guy family.